Alright guys, today we have a 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is SRT8. This is V8 engine, 5.7 liter. This car came to me overheating, and customer told it here, and the car was overheating, he stated. And I did a pressure test with this tool I have here. All you do is you pump in pressure with this tool right here. You just take simply this, put it on the radiator cap, and you push air into the system. And what I discovered was, I'm gonna lift up this little hose right here. You see that? The hose is damaged right there. And the reason why it's damaged is because this hose is supposed to have some type of mechanism that holds this hose right here, but somebody must have changed the pump or moved this hose or broke this little clamp that's supposed to hold this up here. I'll put something up here for the customer. You know, we don't want this car to overheat again and the same thing to happen again. What was happening was this fan down here, there's a fan down here. This fan, the fins of the fan was hitting this hose. It ripped the hose. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna simply replace this upper radiator hose. And once we finish replacing the hose, anytime working on the cooling system on this car, you have to bleed the system, right? To bleed the system, there's two different ways. I'll show you both ways today. One will be, we'll put on a tool here, which will, it's called an air lift. What it does is, it sucks out all the air from the system, all right? And then the second way is, the way this car is designed, you have to remove this little Allen key screw right here, right? And what you do is you pour antifreeze into the system, and once you see antifreeze started to come out from right here, that's when you know it's full, all right? So you're gonna put antifreeze and wait till this antifreeze start to come through from this hole. And the reason why you want it to come from here is because you don't want to leave no air behind in the system. A lot of times what happens is there's buckets of air in the system, and that will cause the car to steam up, and then it will push out the coolant. And there's a thermostat in here. That thermostat will not let any air out till this heats up and it opens up, and that's when the air will release. And this is the water pump down here. This new component you see here, this big component, is a water pump. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace this hose, and then we're gonna bleed the system, and I'll show you exactly how I'm gonna bleed this system. Right, I'll do a vacuum on this system to put in antifreeze, and then I'll open up the screw right here to show you there is an antifreeze coming from there. We'll do it both ways. All right, you can follow the same procedure. After that, let the car run once you're completed, and then once the car cools off after that, just double check the antifreeze and check it for the next few days. You know, if it's your vehicle, you don't want this car to overheat and you don't want to destroy anything. All right, so let me wait for the pieces, and then we'll remove that hose and replace the hose. All right, guys, I got my hose. Here's the hose. You always want to look at the angle of the hose, just match it up. Like this one is pretty good, looks about the same. All right, this goes in this end, this goes on that end. And let me give you some part numbers of this. So if you need to buy this hose, the part number AC Delco, this is an AC Delco brand here. So the Delco part number is 26512X, like X-ray. If you're looking at GM part number, it's 889204883. And then you got some other numbers if you need any of these numbers. All right, and this is the hose that we're gonna put in to this car. All right, let me put this cap to the side. So what you're gonna need is a couple of pliers, needle nose. Like I have this long needle nose. I'll show you. I have it over there already. And what we're gonna do here is, let me take my camera here. I'll put my light into this angle right here so we can see a little better. All right. So all what we're gonna do is down here, we're gonna grab that clamp. All right, and you're probably gonna have to wiggle it around a little bit to loosen the grip of it. right, let me just get this out of there and then I'll show you, because it's difficult for me to hold the camera and get the hose out of there. So I'll be right back and then I'll show you. All right guys, so all I did was I squeezed this clamp right here and I pulled it back and the hose came right off. And we'll do the same thing on this end right here. I'll take the camera a little bit closer. All right, that looks close enough, fair enough. And we're gonna do the same thing here. So needle nose again. A lot of times you don't have a good angle, so what you can do is you can try different type of tool. They also have clamp removers. Let me see if I can get it with this one, because this gives me an angle. This is a strong clamp. All right, once I have it in that angle, I'm gonna use this because this is much easier for me to grab with this. All right, so all you do is squeeze it and bring the clamp off just like that. And then we'll remove the hose. A lot of times this hose is gripping on to the housing of this thermostat, so you have to break that grip. They sell a couple of tools, so they're like picks, or you could just probe it like that. All right, there you go. I heard the grip become loose. All right, still holding on. At the end of the video, I'll show you how to bleed the system, so just bear with me. Let's do the repair first, and then we'll move on to the bleeding part. It's original hose. All right, there you go. And here's the place where it was damaged from, and this is what caused the coolant to leak out, and all the antifreeze came out and the system overheated. All right, so I'm gonna take a moment. I'll come right back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer these clamps onto the new hose. All right guys, I'm back. Let me wipe this down a little bit. We'll blow some air on this later on. All right, I have my pipe set up here. What I did was I put the clamp on this side, I put this sleeve back on. This is just to prevent a little bit of heat and the hose from being damaged, and I put a clamp over here. And what I did was I wiped this down really good. All right, you could sand this down with the sandpaper, and that will prevent it from leaking too much. For me, sometimes this doesn't let it grip onto the hose properly, but that looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this hose, simply route the hose, and I'm gonna put that in. And what I'll do is I'm gonna put that in and I'm gonna come right back. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick that in and I'm gonna put the clamp on. It's hard to see down there, so simply what you do is you grab the clamp, squeeze it, push the hose in there and put the clamp on, and make sure it's nice and firm. And I'm not gonna put this side on because I might twist this a little bit to lift this hose up a little bit so it doesn't fall down to the fan. And then I'll make some type of clamp here, and we'll put a clamp right here to hold it up. All right, and the previous person put a zip tie on it. That's never gonna work. All right, it's gonna break off. So that's what happened here. Right, it broke off and the hose was loose. So that's that. All right, and after that we'll bleed the system. All right, so stay tuned till I bleed the system. And please subscribe. I need a lot of people to just subscribe my channel, because a lot of people watch my videos but they don't subscribe, and that's the little help you can give me in return. And what I'll do is let me go put that hose in, and then we'll put this clamp on, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to gently lift this up and twist it so the hose doesn't have to fall down there. It can keep itself up high anyway. All right, but still I'm gonna put some type of clamp here. All All right, I got my pipe in there and I just want to show you guys. All right, this little clamp that was here that's missing is very important. All right, for one reason, the hose will go down there, hit there, and second reason is it will hit right here onto the power steering pump pulley. So that clamp, what it will do is I'll keep that hose out of the way and clear from everything else. All right, so if you put a hose right here, clamp here, it will keep that away from there and away from the fan, and it'll gently just sit right here. All right, so I'll make some type of clamp to keep this away, but let me put this in, and after that I'm gonna work a clamp and I'll show you what kind of clamp I put in there. So let me just lock this up before we forget. It's always better to get things done. All right, there you go, simple. All right, see how that simple that was? So what I'll do next is, before we go any further, I am gonna pressure test this. So I'll put my camera right here, and I got this locked on. Always like the pressure cooling system. All right, sometimes you fix this, but there's other leaks. Before it wasn't holding anything, now it's holding pressure. You could leave this for like about 10 minutes and wait, see if that needle drops. If that needle drops, you clearly have some type of leak. All right, so this is good. What I'll do is I'll release pressure slowly. So the system still has antifreeze. All right, system is not completely empty. All right. I got this thing stuck in there in a way that you can't imagine. It's half in and half out. And it's slippery. Everything is just slippery. Let me get that out and then we'll come back and we'll bleed the system next. Alright guys, I got my tool out and we're gonna move on to the next step. I removed the bleeder valve from right here. So here's this is number 6 Allen key. I'll put some Teflon tape on it because before we bleed it from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna suck the air from the system, and after that we'll remove this and we'll double check. And we'll see if antifreeze comes out from this hole, because antifreeze is supposed to come out from this hole right here. That's when the system is full. Right. Make sure you put some Teflon tape on it or some kind of liquid that's gonna prevent it from leaking. All right. So what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna get my airlift tool. I'm gonna put that on, and before that, let me figure something out for this. All right. And I get a clamp, and I'll be right back. All right, guys. So here it is what I did. All right, I put 2 clamps together right here, and I made it like a strap for it, and it goes right through that little housing where it's on the fan. This is not going anywhere, but I do want you to take a look at anything that's hitting, like this power steering pump was earlier. So nothing is hitting this hose anymore. But one problem here, I used 2 clamps. You have to look at everything, you know. Don't just forget. If I spin this fan, you're gonna hear that noise. See this extra piece of the clamp? Either cut it off or bend it in an angle where it's not going to disturb anything else. So this was hitting the fan now. What I'll do is I'll just gently cut that off, and that's it. All right, and we'll on to bleeding next. The system, what I have here is, I'm not going to use the air vacuum like I said, because the system still has antifreeze in it, and what we're going to do is we're going to bleed it like normally from this valve right here. What I'll do is I have this funnel system connected to the radiator cap, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some antifreeze in there. All right, while the antifreeze is going down, we're gonna wait for a little bit. let's give it a moment. You could squeeze these pipes and you should be able to see antifreeze moving inside this bucket. What we're gonna do next is I'm gonna release this valve right here, right? We should be having antifreeze come out through that hole. Everything is a little slippery to this antifreeze leakage. Right, I can hear air come out through the system. Right, there you go. It's shooting out. I missed it a little bit. Alright. So the system has a lot of antifreeze inside. You could check it. Alright, there you go. This is good enough, alright? So antifreeze has reached its point. We'll lock up that valve, and after this we'll start up the engine and we'll let the engine run for a little while, and we'll blow some air to wipe off and clean off this antifreeze. Alright, that's it, we're done. After this, put the air duct pipe on, lock up, put the sensor in here, and make sure this hose is not hitting anywhere, and we're done, alright? And we'll check the system after we let it run. So to bleed the system, you're simply gonna open this valve right here. Alright? And what I like to do is I like to let the car run with this full so it can suck off the antifreeze as it's needed. Alright, so we're pretty much done here, and thank you guys. Subscribe, and if you need help, let me know. So again, here's a bleeder valve for 3.7 V8. If you have a Hemi, similar procedure, Dodge Hemi, same thing. Alright, thank you, bye bye. Subscribe please.